Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are here this evening to do what we do. Um, there is indeed a plan. I'm getting a feedback from something here. I'm getting a feedback. Like this. How do I turn this? Whoa, 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 whoa. I am getting a feedback. I do not know. Like, all right, let me get rid of this. Let me get rid of this. Anyway, there is indeed a planned protest from the members of the diaspora this time in Washington on the 15th. On this platform, there has been many appearance of people who is indeed supporter and planners of the protests. But this evening, we're gonna do things a little bit different because in our midst tonight, we have somebody in our midst tonight that one of the persons that is a counter protester of what is going on, and he will share his story or his views with us this evening. He is no other than Dr. Clovis Nelson. Dr. Clovis Nelson is in our space this evening to tell us what he thinks about what's going on with let me make you see his handsome face. He was a little bit busy earlier, as I could see, but let me see. Good evening, sir.
What's going on, my brother? Good evening. Thanks for having me. Good evening to your listeners.
Yes, sir. It is indeed a pleasure. And I must say to the listeners, like, share, and subscribe as expected so that we could take this to a different level. Dr. Nelson, your appearance here has been long overdue.
What happened is I was calculating the numbers or the figures as what I should charge you for my presence.
We are indeed glad to see you here, sir. Finally.
Let me make one correction though to your introduction.
Okay.
I am not a counter protester, and everybody need to make this notation.
Okay.
My position with regards to the protest, as I told everybody, I went to attend the protest, and my purpose was to stand up for brand Jamaica and to defend the government of Jamaica against, these guys who I believe are on the wrong side of history. Right? They do have a point. They do have their point. They have their arguments, but their process and their method of going by the whole thing is wrong.
Okay. But right? before we get to that, I just want my listeners to hear a little bit more of who is Dr. Clovis Nelson. Tell us a little bit about yourself, please.
You should have done your research and your homework and have it streaming across your page.
You're right. I have done some research, but I have.
All right. Let me help you out here. Dr. Clovis Nelson hails from Northwest Clarendon in Jamaica and is a doctor of educational leadership. I have 2 doctorate degrees, one in educational leadership and the other is in organizational leadership. I have 2 master's degrees, and my master's degrees are in arts education and visual arts sculpture. I'm a sculptor. In other words, back in the day, I was a lecturer at Edna Manley College, teaching young people how to make statues, to put it simply, monuments. I am a professional sculptor who went into education, and I have some experience working in the United States as an educator and a lecturer. I did a few years of that. I also have some experience sitting up in Washington, D.C., listening to American politicians, discussing things with them about how we can best address issues on the ground in Jamaica. So I lobbied for some time to try and see how I could find assistance for the people of Jamaica, especially from my constituency in deep rural Clarendon, way up in the hills of Frankfield. So, in a nutshell, I do research and publications. I write quite a bit of academic papers on education and educational development as it relates to juvenile delinquents. In other words, young people with issues who cannot fit within the frame of quote unquote normalcy within the country, who might have unique approach to learning or unique conditions that's not being detected or nobody seems to understand, which is one of the factors, according to the research, that cause them to go astray, if you may. Some of them end up in gangs. Some of them become hardened criminals because, for the most part, they're not fully understood. Or the process that we have in Jamaica, which is changing now, towards dealing with youth needs, especially for special youth with special conditions,
right?
Dyslexia and HDAD, attention deficit disorder, is sometimes not where it need to be, and as a result, we have to find creative ways to educate these youngsters and get them to fit into the the mainstream channel of education and become functional citizens of the country. So that's where my research, that's the area in which my research pretty much revolves. And I have quite a few publications out there, so persons can go Google Dr. Nelson, and I'm sure they'll come across some of my publications. The last paper I published was at Tulane University in New Orleans, and that was a research paper. So in a nutshell, that is Dr. Nelson.
Well, I am honored to have. I don't know why somebody calling me from a group. I cannot take a call right now. Those are people who were unaware of you up until a couple months ago. I've come to know you, a man who is passionate about Jamaica and have been living abroad. How long have you been living abroad? Put it this way.
Well, you know something, when people say that I'm living abroad, I take a little bit of objection to that, because I am in Jamaica at least twice a month, right? For the most part. Yes.
What?
And I've been doing that for a very long time, because as I said earlier, I do have a strong interest in my country. So as much as I am a resident of the United States, my presence on the ground in Jamaica is quite frequent, for the reasons that I have to be involved in the community initiatives. I have to be involved in listening to the people's needs as much as possible. And so I did not want to get that brand as a foreigner. Because let's put it this way, my brother. If tomorrow morning I could find me a job at the University of the West Indies or UTech or somewhere down there, because I have been applying for years for employment in Jamaica, and for some strange reasons, nobody seemed to want to hire me, right? Because if that was the case, I would be home.
Wow.
My only reason, and I want you to listen to me carefully, only reason for being in the United States as a resident, not a citizen. I've been living here for over 20 odd years, but most of that was a part of my studies. I came to the United States on an academic scholarship, and one thing led to another. I did my master's degrees, and then I went on to do my doctoral research work. It was a lot of work, a lot of years of work, and I taught in the system for some time. But I have been here for some time as a resident.
Wow.
I did not express interest in becoming a citizen of the United States, because Jamaica my yard.
Right. So you wouldn't have nothing to give up if
all I need is a plane ticket, and I'm good.
So do you have an active role in any organized group in the Jamaica diaspora? If so, explain.
Once upon a time I did, And interestingly, I was a member of the crime task force, the Jamaica Diaspora Crime Intervention Prevention Task Force, some time ago. And that's a story I don't want to get too deep into. I was also a member of the Education Task Force. And again, I had clashes with the persons who head up that organization. I think at the time when the issue developed with myself and them, I'm a straightforward Jamaican. And I don't play around the bush or beat around the bush when it comes to certain issues. It's either you're going to do the thing right or you're not doing it at all. And if you're not going to do it properly, I will not be there with you. And I'm not afraid of being confrontational. And because I'm outspoken and put my cards on the table and let people know where I stand, not everybody is happy with that. You know?
But I know you have I think you have some followers though, like in terms of whenever time a protest is launched, an active protest, you are standing across from them. You have members, many people that support your position though.
And it is very straightforward. I do. Something you have a big follower, Dr. Nelson. I did not invite people to follow me. And, let me tell you this. And I'm going to use a biblical reference here. And I'm not trying to compare myself with the Christ. But when you're doing certain kind of work and it resonates to the soul and the hearts of people, you don't have to ask them to follow you.
Right.
You don't have to beg them to agree with you. They automatically will.
Right.
That's as simple as I would put it. And every day I get a lot of requests on Facebook. Everywhere I go on Instagram, people are following, and it's growing into a whole heap of people now. And all that it is, Dr. Nelson has a clear, concise vision and focus when it comes to Jamaica. I don't have no upside down thinking. I will not stand anywhere in the United States and watch persons who call themselves Jamaicans drag the Jamaica flag and the Jamaica emblem in the gutters of the United States and behave as if the United States is a holy ground, when it comes to crime and corruption. If you look at the whole scenario, and I'm not trying to bash America, but America, I'm just being practical here.
Okay.
You are in the United States talking about crime and corruption in Jamaica. Really? Where in the world has more crime and corruption than the United States? Who are you appealing to?
Right. Before this beginning of the show, you had expressed to me your position on the crime thing, and even though that wasn't one of the planned question from me, but I am really concerned about the crime situation in Jamaica. Tell us what is your take on what's going on and how if the government can do anything to resolve the crime issues that we are having.
Very good question, and I will not hesitate to answer it for you. We all are concerned about the crime issue. There is a real crime situation going on in Jamaica. But I will go as far as to say, my brother, we have had real crime situations in Jamaica for a long time. It did not start 8 years ago when the Andrew Holness administration took office. It's been there. However, the government is ultimately responsible to address the problem. Nobody can go around that fact.
Right.
Now, as I said to a couple friends of mine a few weeks ago, the crime situation in Jamaica is no longer a man grabbing a mango or grabbing a gold chain or picking a pocket and running away and people bawl out, thief, thief, thief. Jamaica has long reached a stage where crime is now more organized, and with the use of technology now, and with the unfair issue surrounding deportation of criminals from other parts of the world, especially the United States, into the islands, then we have a situation that has now grown, leaps and bounds. We have to face the reality that the government of Jamaica has a lot of challenges on the issue of crime fighting and crime prevention. But don't go out there and try to tell the world or try to argue as if the government is sitting back and the prime minister having coffee and chatting and not doing anything about the crime thing. That is categorically an unfair and a false position for anybody to take, home or abroad. Right? And that's one of the things that really upset me and made me go out in the street and say my piece against those who want to be pushing that kind of narrative.
Right.
Now, if you do the research, and I tell everybody here listening, don't just sit down and take Dr. Nelson's word for it, or sit down and take anybody's word for it. This is the 21st century. Information accessibility is at your fingertip. If there's a topic that you want to learn more about, don't be gullible. Don't let nobody push things down in your head. Go and research it for yourself. All right? There are simple research platforms or search engines that you can use. You can type in a word. Like the other day, somebody was talking to me about the economy of Jamaica. And how Jamaica bad and things rough. I said, listen to me, man. You must remember where this government is and how old this administration is. They are 8 years old, very young government. What do you know about Vision 2030? She said to me, what that? I said, there you go. You are not informed as to the government's blueprint, which is a phase-by-phase process to take Jamaica from the rut that it was in economically, pay off some of the bills that are outstanding. So some of the money that Jamaica makes since this government is in office had to be spent paying up bills and setting some things straight that was there before the previous, with the previous administration. All them bills had to be paid. And now Jamaica is at a stage where I'm getting back to the crime thing.
Yeah. That's fine. That's fine. Because I hear you. I can hear in your voice that you are defending some of the current administration action. Are you saying
everything ties into one another? It's a chain link. It's a chain we're dealing with. Okay, so the economy is critical to crime fighting. The economy is critical to infrastructural development. You cannot go to the supermarket to buy food if you don't have money in your pocket. It's as simple as that. And so there are processes that Vision 2030 lay out. People can go research it. Google Vision 2030 for Jamaica and see what it is saying. Look at the document. It is there. And look at the specific phases and steps that is laid out by the government as to what they hope to achieve within a certain time frame for Jamaica. Interestingly, the Minister of Finance and the Prime Minister and his team and the entire team, they're doing very well where that is concerned. You can go track it. You can go on the internet, Google Jamaica's economic development as laid out by the World Bank, and you will see it. Okay. Now, the crime situation now is very dense of a problem. Okay. I know of a fact that the government of Jamaica is working with the FBI and the CIA. I know of a fact. Just the other day, the news break where they made a burst. They made an inroad into a crime ring, gun distribution and drug.
In Florida. Yes.
That end up in Jamaica. 31 of them got held. And the plot and the ring is now busted, and there are more to come. Now, this is a concerted effort by a Jamaican or a group of Jamaicans to ship guns into Jamaica using that disguise. And they have been tracking them for a long time. The government of Jamaica, working with the Jamaica Constabulary, working with the Ministry of National Security, the Constabulary, working with the US government, the CIA, the FBI, and everybody. And they're working with MI6, England. They're working with the Canadian security forces. And, these are the facts. But how many Jamaicans know what is going on? And so when other persons know with ill intent Look at the crime situation now, which is bad, and try to use that as their tool to twist the people's minds and to give the people the impression that the government is not doing anything. That is really treasonous, in my opinion. Yes, we need to do more. Yes, we have to get the crime levels down. The statistics must go down. And it is. It is going down. As bad as it sounds, it is going down. Just this morning, I hear a couple more news where more guns were taken off the street and more guys get arrested.
Yeah. I read some things last week. Last week is over. From the news that I read, they removed about six guns last week, and I commend the police officers for what they're doing.
So my brother, let me tell you, and a police officer got injured. Two of them in two incidents, they got injured in the process. But let me so my brother, the situation is what I'm trying to say to the public here is that problems like crime fighting takes time. It is an incremental process, a focused and incremental process that will not happen overnight. Remember, this government is 8 years old. And if you do the math, look at the facts, and do the math, and look at the percentage, rank this government as to what, on the scale of what they have accomplished so far, both economically and on crime fighting, and compare that to the last administration and see what you get.
Yeah, but isn't since the crime increased since 2016, Dr. Nelson?
Crime has increased since, yes, a lot of hard crime, and I say hard crime meaning gun-related crime and drug-related crime, has grown since that time. And you must understand. And you must understand if you go through now and do the logic. It went down about 13 to 14% in recently.
Right.
But there was an upsurge from that time. But by 2020 or so on, it went down, and it keep falling down. As bad as it sounds, it keep going down. Right. The next trajectory or the next analysis will be, the JCF will now have to put out a new bit of information as to how much further it has fallen since the last one I heard, which was 13%. Okay, with that said, if you go back and you look at the statistics as to what is contributing significantly to the crime in Jamaica, we go back to the same boys shipping home guns, who they just catch a few of them the other day. It goes back to the levels of deportees, which from before 2016 up to now, most of the deportees that left the United States went to Jamaica. They were Jamaicans. The statistics is also showing that more than 5% of the serious crime that's happening in Jamaica can directly be attributed to or linked to deportees.
Yeah, I want you to elaborate a little bit about and fear deportees. How you get there where you're talking about and fear deportees? What do you mean by? Could you break that down?
Okay, all right, very good question. What I find unfair as it relates to deportation of hardened criminals from the United States. Let's use the United States, because they're coming from other countries too. But let's use America. The majority of them coming from America to Jamaica. What I find unfair about that is a question of ethics. Now, let us look at it. A youngster get filed for. His mother go to America. She settle herself down, married to an American, become a citizen, and she filed for her children. Our children go to America, go live with her, and her sons, let's say she had 3 sons. The oldest one was 6 years old. Right?
Right.
And these boys, 6, 7, let's say one is 5. And these boys went to America or get to America as children, young children. And they get their citizenship, they go to school, they get adopted into the culture of the United States, the lifestyle. Unfortunately, some of them get involved with gangs and with low life, we call them drug running and gun handling.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately for this mother, her sons become criminals,
Mm-hmm.
breaking the law in the United States, wherever they are, whether Miami, New York, wherever they are.
Right.
They get caught, they commit some crime, they get caught, they put them in prison up there, and America decides to ship them back to Jamaica. Now, these young boys or these young men don't even know Jamaica like that, you know. They might have made some visits to Jamaica to visit families over a period of time. But
Okay.
they are now seasoned Americans. Their way of thinking, their connections, their family, their education, everything about them is American. They have no real connections in Jamaica. Maybe a grandmother down in St. Elizabeth, or some
Mm-hmm.
granduncle and some cousins, but they don't even know so well. And you send them back to a third world country that is struggling to build this economy, struggling to control the levels of crime. You, the United States, big first world country, who call yourself the greatest nation on earth, is doing this bit of injustice to a third world island with very little money, weak economy. You're sending your worst criminals down into this country. What are you doing?
I don't understand when you said there was a criminal, but the origin of this criminal is from Jamaica,
Yes, but if you
right?
understand, no, this criminal is not from Jamaica. Who left Jamaica was a 6-year-old boy. This criminal was made in the United States.
So the criminal that this person become was manufactured here in the United States. That's what you're saying?
Exactly. If you look at the facts, a
No.
6-year-old.
But I don't want to challenge you at all. You know, I want to give you. I
No.
try to,
It's understandable. Yeah, it was reason.
yes, but this guy, grand uncle or uncle that he is going to, it is something stealing and robbery is in the blood. That's
No,
what them do. I have
no,
seen that in my time.
no. Hold on. Let me correct you. Let me correct you with that.
Correct.
There is no DNA trait or DNA grouping that says thief.
I have seen many families in Jamaica
Yes, and
where
I've
you
seen it
have
too. And everybody said,
many people
boy,
from that family. That's who they
yes,
are.
yes, but here what happened now? We have to be scientific here now. Family members
Mm-hmm.
have certain kind of traits, behavioral traits and practices that their young one learn from them as they go by. It is not in
Mm-hmm.
the blood. It is not a DNA reality. Young kids get influenced by the adults around them, the environment around them, the society in which they grow up, influence them a certain way. And if you grow up and see your father a thief, chances are, if somebody don't pull you aside and straighten you out, you may adopt the same practice. But
Mm-hmm.
let us go back and look at where I have a problem with America deporting hardened criminals to Jamaica. The America have a right, within their constitution and within their immigration laws to do what they're doing. Don't get me wrong. They
Okay.
can do it, and they have been doing it. Where the question comes in now is an ethical question. That Jamaica is a third world country trying to pull itself out of economic situation, dealing with a crime issue, and you are compounding the problem by sending hardened criminals down to this country instead of you trying to find ways right here where this 6-year-old boy grew up and become a 45-year-old man and a criminal. Why don't you find some rehabilitation program
Well,
to
they have
deal
the
with this?
program here. Yeah, they have the program and they have the resource here. So you're
Yes.
saying that because they have it, they should
They take the
deal with it
shortcut.
because
They take the shortest way out. They take the
Okay.
easiest way out and the shortest way out to send him back to Jamaica to compound the problem in Jamaica. So that right there is where my problem is. It's a problem of ethics. It's not a law that they have to keep them in America. They can do what they're doing, and they have been doing what they're doing because their immigration rules say so. I think America needs to rethink its immigration policy where that is concerned. It is not ethically correct for them to do that. Anyway.
So somebody just asked if this man is an American citizen. Catherine Daly asks, I don't know, but let me just acknowledge Phillips and Catherine and all the other people that Montague and all the people that join us tonight. Thank you guys, Michelle, for being a part of us. I know some of them want me to read these questions, but we'll be here all night. So I just flash them across the screen, and if you want to, you could respond to them. It's just up to you. And guys, oh shoot, what is this? What is this? I think I just messed. I'm back. I don't know. I click on something and something happened. But anyways, guys, you could always call in if you want to 847-774-7930. Are you hearing me, Dr. Nelson?
Yeah, man, I'm hearing you.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I mean, you have some valid point. My fear is, as indicated by some of the questions, they're implying that you may be a little bit defending a political party. But I met you personally, and to be honest, I hear a lot of fear talk, and that's why from day one.
Let me comment on that a little bit, because I have heard that a lot of times, and I really want the listeners here, whether you're PNP or you're JLP, that is not the issue here tonight. I'm not discussing a JLP position, right? Or am I bashing a PNP position? People need to start thinking outside the box and listen to what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. And if you doubt anything that you heard me mention here, go and do your own background research on the topics and inform yourself further on it. All I'm saying here, and I will say this categorically without hesitation, that on the issue of crime, right, there has never been another government in Jamaica that is more vigilant on the crime issue as we have now. The kind of crime we have in Jamaica now far exceed those that we've had, in previous administrations. It gets worse every year. Mm-hmm. The criminals get more technologically, advanced. Yeah, they have more connectivity globally now. Mm-hmm. We're looking at human trafficking. Mm-hmm. We're looking at more gun runnings and more drug runnings in more sophisticated ways. This guy was dealing guns out of a food truck, right? And he has his connection to get them into the country. That is very sophisticated. And it took the American police, FBI, CIA, Jamaican, constabulary people a long time.
6 months, I think they were. Yeah, I read it. Yeah.
To get through and unravel what they were doing. So let us be fair here. Don't talk about political angles right now. Let's talk about the issue at hand and what need to be done and what need to be understood as we go forward. It is a serious problem. But don't tell me that the government is not doing anything about it. That is not a fair statement to make. And that is all I'm saying here, because if you do the math and look at the facts, you will see that the government is working very hard to deal with the problem. Are they on top of it 100%? Not really. Do they have a lot of work to do to get there? Yes, they do. But don't tell me they're not doing anything.
Do you think like the police, for example, is motivated in and I say motivated because of how some of them claim that they've been treated. Do you think they're motivated to fight the crime as they should? The government motivate them to do that? That's my question. Do you think?
I believe that the issue of motivation is a broad issue. I cannot answer to who or why or whether or not the police are motivated. What the government has as its policy that governs policing, I am not an expert on that either, or the individual cops and so on. So I'm not going to speculate. But what I
Right.
will say to you is this. Any police officer in Jamaica who think that he or she is not being treated properly. I just heard the new commissioner talking about the other day of bulletproof vests for the police officers. I know that there was a drive to fix up police stations recently by the government,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But I cannot give you, in all honesty, a calculated breakdown of how the police motivation level is, but they have an option. The point I'm getting at is they have an option. They can either use their police union to confront the authorities and get what they want. I think they have been doing that over the years. I know civil servants got some increase in salary, and that include the police. So that is a topic that I cannot give you any definitive argument on. But what I do know is that if you're an officer and your job description is clear in your face, which it is, and if you feel that you're not fairly treated, then you can step aside.
Right.
Or you can organize yourselves and confront your chief of police or the commissioner and say, boss, you need to fix this for us, so we can feel good to go forward. You know what I mean?
Right. I want to get a little bit back into the diaspora involvement in all that is going on. And one of my questions that I have here is, there is a lot of talk now about making changes to Jamaican constitution. As a result, much has been said about the role the Jamaica diaspora should play in the country's political affairs. Where do you think, where do you stand on this? And what role should the Jamaica diaspora play in the country's political affairs?
All right, let me answer that. Very good question, because from where I'm sitting and where I'm standing, the Jamaica diaspora plays a critical role in moving Jamaica forward, and they have for a long time, right? And and how they do this? They do this by leveraging expertise, resources, and global perspectives, right? That has always served or contribute meaningfully to the nation's development. And we can look at the remittances, money coming in, help my brother build a house, help him buy a car, you know what I mean? Help my niece to pay our school fees and so on. The diaspora is a critical component to what the development of Jamaica as it is right now. Remittances, I don't know what the number is now, but it contributes significantly to the Jamaican economic growth index, if you understand what I'm saying.
Right, definitely.
It is important, though, for the diaspora to engage in constructive dialogue, right? And collaboration with the government and all the civic societies or the civic entities to effect continuous, meaningful change. But the diaspora need to respect the government of Jamaica. And I think that is where the breakdown is and the issues is, and the tug-of-war has started. Because a diaspora group feels it. Them they are foreign, them have all the answer. And they don't like how the government is doing certain things, and they think they have the solution to it. And then the way they approach the government is like, say, you need to employ me, And if you don't employ me, I go march, I go tear down things. I go mess you up because they are foreign, they can do that. The diaspora cannot take that position with the government of Jamaica. Because, people need to get this thing straight. The elected government of the country have the sovereignty, the sovereignty in their hands. And any entity, Jamaican or otherwise, who want to get involved in any shape or form, you have to approach the things respectfully. And if your position or your recommendations are not accepted, you need to respect that too. The government is not obligated to you. You can make a projection to them, but they can either take it or reject it. And you hold your corner.
You say you. Are you talking as a body? Or are you talking to somebody specific about
No,
somebody
no, no. I'm
specific?
just saying that whichever diaspora entity
Oh, okay. I
who
just have to
wants
clarify
to,
that.
right, who wants to engage the government on whatever level, whether it be crime fighting, right, economic, strategic ideas, you have the liberty to do so. But the point I'm making, Dennis, is this.
Mm-hmm.
Problems will develop when your approach
Yes.
is not coordinated and is leveled on what I call a disrespectful premise. Man feels to them bigger than the minister,
Mm-hmm.
and the minister must listen to them. And if him don't listen to them, then guess what? We are gonna find a way to move him out and see it. That kind of arrogance will always lead to significant problems. And I think that's what's going on right now.
I must say many of the listeners are not in agreement with you, but there are texts coming in complimenting you, and I'm getting texts on WhatsApp and all that saying that you're a very intelligent man. So if you're seeing what's going on, people are expressing their views, and many of it is not so much in your favor. But
That's
there's
okay.
many coming,
I understand
there's
that.
many coming in on Facebook too, and WhatsApp saying that that you are indeed an intelligent person. So I just want to balance that the whole thing to say it is not all that you
Dennis,
see.
Dennis, let me tell you this much, man.
Uh-huh.
I'm an educator. I've been a professor for a long time. I've dealt with all kinds of students and co-workers. So I
Okay.
understand the dynamics of which you speak.
Okay, so
Not everybody will see eye to eye with you. That's just how it is. But the one thing I would challenge all of those persons who cannot see eye to eye with me or don't want to for whatever reason, political or otherwise, I will say to you, anything you hear me say here, prove me wrong. Because at the
okay.
end of the day, you bring your evidence to the table or you bring your counter argument to the table, and it becomes a more involved dialogue and communication.
Yes, sir.
That's
Yes,
all
sir.
it is, you know. We don't
Yes,
have to
sir.
agree. We can agree
Right.
to disagree,
Mm-hmm.
and we move on. Everybody have their opinion. It's a democratic system where we're governed by. So my position might not necessarily be your position, and that is okay.
Okay. And,
You
and
know?
and that's fine. That's fine. And that's why I choose to invite you, because I don't want to have a platform that lean one side. And most of my people that I have here with me sometimes are because we're getting to the protest question. Most of them are the organizers and in favor of it. And I just want to
You
strike
see,
a balance, to be honest, because
yes, and
yes,
that's okay. But
I don't
let me,
want to appear. Go ahead, sir.
but let me continue. You
Yes, sir.
see, and I will stress this. While the diaspora involvement is critical, it is important for the diaspora organizations, groups, or individuals to know how they approach the government. They have to approach the government with humility and respect. You have to recognize that the government is the authority that you are trying to engage with.
Are you saying let me ask you, are you saying that the protests that they're doing abroad, are you pointing in that direction, that the approach as it relates to the protest is not right? That's what you're alluding to?
No, 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 no. We're just
Okay.
talking in general
In
about
general. Okay.
diaspora
Okay.
involvement with
Involvement.
a
In general. Okay.
sovereign government entity or with a
Okay.
government entity in office. The government is in office. You are in the diaspora and you have an idea about crime intervention
Right.
and you want to push your idea towards the government. How you approach the government is going to determine what kind of a feedback or kickback you get. That's all I'm
Okay.
trying to say.
Okay. Okay, sir.
And a lot of people approach the government of Jamaica with ideas. Some of them are good ideas, but some of them are just what I would call extortionary ideas. which means to say, I give you this idea, you have to pay me some money. Whatever the approach is, I'm not saying that this is the approach that some people are doing,
Right.
but I know of a fact that these are some of the approaches that does exist.
Okay.
But the point I'm making is, whatever your approach is, if it is not coming from a perspective of respect and careful approach, your methodology as you go forward towards the respective government minister who you are confronting on your interest, your area of interest. If you don't approach this thing with a certain kind of quorum, then chances are you will be flatly rejected. And if you get flatly rejected, you don't have the right to try and demonize this guy because this guy did not accept your argument.
Right.
That's all I'm trying to say here.
Okay, sir. Point well taken, and I like your explanation. But let me ask you this question. In recent weeks, you have been seen regularly in media expressing your disappointment with those Jamaicans in the diaspora who had opted to stage protests in cities in the USA, with plan to take their protests to Canada and the UK. What exactly do you not like about how they are going about it?
All right, and I kind of alluded to all of that earlier. When I spoke about people having grudges with the government of Jamaica. And when you see yourself as an entity that is on equal grounds with the government or with a minister of government, then you try to behave as if the minister should listen to you because you are you. You're a big man in the place or a big man in a foreign, and the government of Jamaica, the little minister boy don't want to hear what you have to say. And you feel like, say, you have this power in your hands that you can destroy him because he not listen to you. That is a very disrespectful angle to take. No, these guys out there protesting in the streets of Miami, New York, and I know them going to Washington, I was told, are guys who, in their own narrative, will say to you or have been saying that they approach the government of Jamaica and the government is not listening to them. Does that sound familiar to what I said earlier?
Yes. And
because the government not listening to them, they feel like them big and them powerful, and them can go out and now go destroy the government because the government not listen to them.
Are you saying, Dr. Clovis Nelson, that the protest is not so much of the issue at hand? It's more intended to destroy the government. That's what you're saying?
Personal vendetta. Man poor get crushed. Man,
so you don't think they have legitimate reason to go out there and stand up for the people?
I don't think they do, because as we mentioned earlier, you and I just went through some of the crime situation in the country. And you look at the crime statistics. One guy claimed that the crime statistic is not what the government say it is. But if you do the crime statistic from any international entity that is looking at Jamaica's crime levels and use their statistics and measure it and compare it with the statistics of the constabulary force, the JCF, you will see a close resemblance. So I think they are making much to do, in an exaggeratory kind of a way. They are exaggerating a situation because they know it is evident, it is there. They're maximizing it for their own personal reasons. Yes, we have a crime issue going on in the country, and yes, we have to do more to fix it. But as the news release from 2016 until now, there's been a lot of good news on the crime reduction levels. What are these guys going to be saying now about this recent bust in Miami from the food truck, where over 30 persons were pulled in, shipping guns to Jamaica? How do you justify that against your argument that the government is not doing enough on crime? Nonsensical. What they're doing is nonsensical, and to me, it is an ulterior. They have personal agendas.
Dr. Nelson, I noticed though I have not seen much coverage on that bus. When I read it, I had to read it like about 40 times to see it because I thought it was something that happened long time ago. I can't believe it's so recent, but I've not seen many people talking about it on social media. I don't see it. I don't know if you see it.
Well, yes, I've seen it, but here's the thing now. You must understand that propaganda and nonsensical viewpoints get more news or become bigger news than serious and sensible things. You know, a lot of information that should be out there in the public is not getting the kind of a publicity that it ought to. You must also understand that some of these crime fighting situations that's going on, even the police will be reluctant to put out certain information out there because a lot of these things are still being handled, right? But that recent bust in Miami is a testament to the work that the Jamaican government, the JCF, the international, the American crime fighting agencies, all of them working together to deal with. So my point is, that is raw evidence. How do you still go out there and justify your reason for being out there? There is none.
My number 5 question become doesn't even make any sense because of your response. Because I was gonna ask you, I'm gonna read it anyways because I still have it. The protesting individual claim that they have loved Jamaica and that they are acting. Their action are intended to improve Jamaica. Do you believe that they're protesting abroad? The way they are doing it could hurt brand Jamaica? Please explain to us how much the protest could hurt Jamaica. Explain to the listeners how it could hurt Jamaica. That's what I want to hear from you.
All right, let me tell you what's going on here.
Yes, sir.
Have you been following Jamaica's tourism boost of late?
Yes.
Are you aware that Jamaica is breaking all records in the amount of visitors coming into the island as tourists? And in the amount of international entities coming into Jamaica as investors. All right. Recently, some clown in the American sphere put out some bulletin. Jamaica, don't go to Jamaica because
I remember that.
All right, all of this nonsensical thing coming from somebody's desk because they had they had some reason to want to put a wrench into the tourism thing that's going on in Jamaica. It was quickly challenged by the ambassador, right?
Yeah, I remember that.
And it was removed. No, I say all of that just to say this, that when you go out there and you put them nonsensical kind of a behavior on the street, New York and, Miami and Manhattan, and now you're going to Washington as if to say you are a rivaling power in Jamaica and the government not listening to you. Who dare the government not to listen to you? Who do you think you are? And you are going out there now to try and spin bad publicity for Jamaica. That is what is going to affect brand Jamaica. You need to hold your corner. You need to go sit down and hold your corner because you don't have no good ground on which to stand. All their talking points have been debunked.
Are you against protesting in general or just this body?
I am against baseless protest that is going to affect the tourist worker who's driving the tourists from point A to point B. The less tourists come, the less work that guy have. The restaurant operators on the street vendors who are selling their wear because tourists buying them t-shirts. These guys are not thinking on the broader effect if they get their way and people start listening to them and stop coming to Jamaica and blah, 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 who does it affect? It is not going to affect Andrew Holness, you know. Nor will it affect the Minister of Tourism pocket. The people who will first be affected is the average Jamaicans who are making a living from these situations. Yes, it might have some kind of political, you know, ricochet for the government. But then that can be, you know, that can be quickly adjusted. The real victims here, my brother, is the man in the street, the man and woman in the street who are dependent on Jamaica's good publicity to feed their children. So when you look back on all of this thing, let us look back on this thing in retrospect. You want the government of Jamaica to listen to what you think is the answer to crime and corruption, when you yourself don't even have the qualification to be discussing crime and corruption. There are average Jamaicans right now in the police force and in the civil service with more qualification than what you think you have. Because you come from foreign, you figure, say, you have the answer. You are the Messiah. You are the Christ of crime fighting and corruption prevention. So the government must listen to you. And if they're not listening to you, then them can't solve the problem. Really? Who the hell do you think you are?
Let me ask you this. You have been at the two protests so far, and you're a man that do your research, and you have frequent visit to Jamaica. How effective is the protest has been since it started? Do you think it have any impact at all?
Very good question. If you were to do a poll right now as to the effect of these protests, so far they do two, right? On the American populace and the government, you will realize that the needle don't even shake. Because that question also brings in another point of interest.
Okay.
When you look at what these guys are doing and you break it down and you put the facts on the table, you realize that they do not have good legs on which to stand. Because the very issue that they are protesting about is being addressed as we speak. Case in point, the big bus where 31 criminals were caught and a lot of guns and the whole thing mash up, right? Before that, another 30-odd gang members in Jamaica were arrested and their boss in prison. And there are other things going on. So what is your crime argument based on, right? So you are using this crime pedestal to launch yourself as the reason for your protest. Well, technically, when you look at the facts, you have no real reason. So it must be something else that you're doing this for. When you look at the narrative now, the political narrative out there, and you align it with these so-called protesters' viewpoint, then you see a very good parallel. And as a researcher, I can tell you that. So it stands to reason that these guys, even though they are denying it, they're out there for political reasons, personal agendas, and political reasons. But there's the scale of their effects on the Jamaican populace and the government of Jamaica, the needle does not even move an inch. In other words, their effort is next to baseless. No effect.
You take a political a public position on this, and you seems to be very much passionate about it. Where does this passion where it's coming from?
My brother, as I told you earlier, I've been in America over 20 odd years, and I'm not an American citizen. Somebody asked me the other day, how you do that? I said, what you mean? I have my green card. When it expires, I renew it. Trying to get my foot in Jamaica officially. Have my business, some little thing running in Jamaica, helping the Jamaican populace. I have a non-profit organization that is about to get launched in Jamaica, gearing towards helping young people, the disenfranchised, the youth, the school kids. I am a Jamaican, I love my country. I mean, I sell out. The next thing we need to talk about, my brother, is this. The dual citizenship thing. And it's becoming a big argument now, especially since Jamaica trying to become a republic. When one leader is now trying to talk double talk because he might try to protect his own dual citizenship situation. And delaying signing some paperwork that will push Jamaica forward, or the effort forward to make Jamaica finally get free from Britain. This guy, for his own personal reasons, don't want to do it because it got cut into his dual citizenship thing. And this is a leader.
Let me just say this, Dr. Nelson. For those who trying to reach me, no, it's not the best time. If you want to call and say something about the program, you should refer to this number, 847-774-7930. That's the number you should call if you want to ask Dr. Nelson a question, or you want to address something that he said. 847-774-7930 is the number that you call. I am not able to take call during this time through the option that you guys using. Just call 847-774-7930 if you want, if your call is regarded to Dr. Nelson's position. Then Dr. Nelson, so are you solo in your position? And when I say solo, meaning that are you coming from an organized group in being so public and strong and passionate? Are you doing it by yourself, or you have an organized group behind you?
My brother, when I got up and went to Miami, you know where I was? What I was doing when I heard about that Miami protest? I was at one of my buildings because I have a couple of houses that I do some investments, right? Buy house, fix them, rent. Sometimes I keep them, rent them, or me sell them back, right? I'm not just a professor. I'm a businessman too.
Okay.
I was going to a project of mine when somebody said, Doc, you hear what's going on in Miami? I said, what do you mean what's going on in Miami? Hear that some guy is going to be doing some protests down there on government and crime. I said, these people are sick in them head. Why would they want to be dragging the Jamaican flag and the Jamaican emblem in the streets of Miami on a topic of crime and violence when Miami is one of the biggest shipping ports of guns and drugs into Jamaica? Do they think they're standing on holy ground here? And if they have an issue with the Jamaican government, what gives them the audacity or the right to be doing what they're doing? Attacking brand Jamaica. I am a soul artist. People, some of them call me and say to me, boy, who paying you? Blah, blah, blah. Nobody paying me, man. I pay myself. I fly myself to New York.
Hold on. Let me see if I could answer this call. Hold on. This is a group call. I can't join a group right now. No, I can't do that. A group calling me, but I can't be a part of a group discussion. I think if you guys call into about any concern what is going on this platform right now, you should just call 847-774-7930. So you were saying you're just
I'm a soul operative, man. People came and joined me when they saw what I was doing and heard what I'm saying because they agree with me. Irrespective of the problems that you have with the government of Jamaica, you need to find other ways to deal with it than to go in a foreign country and drag the Jamaican flag, the Jamaican name, the Jamaican emblem in the gutters. That is where I have my big problem with these guys.
Right. I think
all you are doing, it shows me that you have an ulterior intention. And it's not about crime and corruption. Because as I said, crime is being addressed as we speak. This government is 8 years old. Crime never started when Andrew Holness took office. Crime was always there. Go and check the facts, anybody listening in, to see what the current government has done on crime since they take office. And you will see, you should be singing a different tune. Yes, we have more work to do on crime, but the process is ongoing. It don't happen by a snap of the finger, and it doesn't happen overnight. People need to get real here.
Wow.
And so these guys who are pushing this thing all over the country, United States, with them protests, they're flogging a dead horse. They look like idiots out there. That's all they're proving, that they have some other reasons for being out there. Because that which they're talking about is something that is constantly being addressed.
So you're saying crime is going down, the government is working, so there is no need for any action right now as it relates to the diaspora.
No, they have
People
other
in the
reasons for being
diaspora
out
say
there.
it's saying that why I want to go home and I don't feel safe because the government is not putting out enough effort in protecting them. You're saying all that is nonsense because it's been approached and dealt with right now?
Let me say this. I am not going to say it is nonsense, because people need to come home. People want to come back to Jamaica, build them house and sleep with them door open. The Prime Minister made that talk out of enthusiasm and as a part of his wish list. They tried to put it around his neck as a rope. But it was one of his thinking when he said that. People need to be honest. It was his wish for Jamaica. And perhaps we will get there. However, as bad as the problem is, people need to come to the realization and the acknowledgement, Dennis, that the government is addressing the problem. Therefore, you going out there in Washington now to protest crime in Jamaica, you look like an idiot out there, because even the people in Washington who have sense will see this last piece of news here that just come out of Miami and say, what is these people's problem? When we were in New York, a couple of police officers were there, and even though they couldn't come on camera, that's exactly what they were saying. Why would these people come to a foreign country to try and disgrace them country? Because they have a problem with the government, with the government. Whatever the problem you have with the government, you deal with it at a different level. And the government now listen to what you say. You hold your corner, man.
A protest on the ground in Jamaica, do you think that would be more effective?
Well, that's a very good point. Because the very thing with them, they're foreign protest about, it's not happening in Jamaica. So you think the people abroad don't have sense? How can you be protesting something about Jamaica in America when nobody on the street in Jamaica is even doing the same thing?
Is that out of fear though?
No, come on. Jamaican people go placard all the while. Just this morning I saw some lady placarding because some person died at the hospital, and they think in St. Thomas, and they think that the hospital is not getting all the attention it needs from the Minister of Health. I just saw that a while ago. People have them placard and them a protest and them a do them thing. It happens in Jamaica every day. But if your problem what you're talking about, even though Jamaicans are affected by the crime in a serious way, the Jamaicans are also hearing the news. When the police pull 2 more guns off the road and put 2 more boys in a jail, the Jamaicans are hearing the news about the man who sell gun and drugs to him food cart in Florida that end up in Jamaica and him get busted. 30 out of them. They're hearing the news. They know the news about the 30 odd gang members who last month or a couple months ago were pulled off the street and arrested. The Jamaicans are hearing the news. So they have no reason to be protesting the way these idiots doing in the United States. These guys are unpatriotic. These guys are insurgentists, right? Subversives. That's what they are. Saboteurs. They're saboteurs. Power hungry destabilizers. That's what they are. They have other reasons to be doing what they're doing.
Are you referring to the body of organizers behind this protest?
The body of organizers, because the people who are joining up with them are just vulnerable and gullible. So they follow the Pied Piper. You know the story about the Pied Piper blowing his flute and all the rats following. And I'm not trying to sound disrespectful here to people.
Right.
But they didn't know the reason why the piper was blowing his flute. He was actually leading. There was a rat problem in the country, and they hired this guy who said he know how to get rid of the rats. And so he went with his flute, and the rats were following him, following the music, and he led them into the river or somewhere like that. That's a little nursery rhyme that I remember from way back when. These organizers of these protests are claiming to be doing it on the premise of the issue of crime and corruption in Jamaica. And just now, throughout my presentation here tonight, I have categorically stated and made it clear to the listeners and to you that their actions are more to do with personal vendettas, political angles, and they are just being saboteurs, destabilizers, and sabotaging a government and a government initiative. Because when you look at the facts, Dennis, the facts does not reflect their actions or the need for them to be doing what they're doing. That's all I'm saying here. Check the facts. Do the research. Do the math. And you will ask yourself the same question. Why are these guys out there doing this?
Well, I must say though, because we went over, we were supposed to be here much less, but we went over because I just wanted to give you an opportunity as a person that see things a little bit different.
It's a good discussion. Yes, we need to have these discussions.
I just want to give you, and I must say I try to be as balanced as possible. I have many people from the other side that been on the show, and I think it's only fair to give you an opportunity to express yourself, and that's what I'm doing here. And I must say thank you for stopping by and expressing yourself. I may or may not share your sentiment. I don't think that is relevant right at this point, because it's not about me. It's about Jamaica. It's about the people in Jamaica. It's about the people in the diaspora. And so that's why I want to be very much balanced in my position. But I must say thank you very much for stopping by and expressing yourself and give people an opportunity to see or to hear the opinion of the opponents of the protests. So will you be going to Washington next week? Answer that.
I think the planners of the Washington protest will be happy that I am not going to be there. I will be in Jamaica. As I tell you, I go to Jamaica twice a month, and this is my anniversary. This is my time. I just came back like maybe about a week or 2 weeks ago, and I'm going back now.
Okay.
So the month of June just starting, and I'll be there for this first half of the month of June, and before the month of June expires, I will be in Jamaica again, because I am on the ground with the people, talking, sharing, reasoning. Now, let me say this in closing, if I may.
Yeah, I want to give you an opportunity to close up, but I'm gonna ask you a question. You don't have to answer this question. Mm-hmm. Do you have any political ambition?
Of course I do.
Okay.
And I'm proud. I will proudly answer that question for you. And I tell you something, my friend. Perhaps you should have some political ambition too. You see, people who are out there talking up their mouth for the most part, right? And criticizing the government and tearing down, Jamaica, thinking that they are hurting the government. All they're doing is hurting brand Jamaica. A lot of these persons, if they really want to do something significant for Jamaica, then they should stand in line and be counted in a positive way. Okay. My interest in politics in Jamaica is long known, right? But that is not my reason for for supporting and defending brand Jamaica. When I look at these guys' claims, I realize that it's empty. Their argument can be addressed, or their concerns can be addressed at other forums, not in the streets of New York and in the streets of Miami. These guys are attention seekers, and they were hoping to find major media houses coming to their foolishness to support them and to broadcast their thing. But it's not happening. As much as they were in New York, The only coverage they got was from their own bloggers that they brought with them. They were right next to a media house in New York, and nobody came out of that media house to turn a camera on them and say, what is this about? Because it is irrelevant what they're doing. And I'm not surprised that the same thing happened in Washington. No, I will not be in Washington. But I'm sure other persons will be there doing what I would be doing.
Give me a second, Dr. Nelson. Caller, you're live.
Dr. Nelson, how are you doing?
I'm trying to behave myself, sir.
Hello, Dr. Nelson?
Yes,
you know what? He's hearing you. He's hearing you well. You can, because I'm having some issues with this whole thing. If you have something to say, you can say. But there's no interactive conversation with him. It would be just
okay. This is Jeffrey Tavares. So I want to ask you a question, Dr. Nelson. Your style said that we are well, the only thing left for you to say that we are drunk, Ross. Let me ask you a question. When the Jamaica Observer, the Gleaner, and TVJ put up that a teacher gone missing, isn't that bringing down brand Jamaica? When you see the condition of the hospitals, isn't that bringing down brand Jamaica? When you hear about how many murders in the country, isn't that bringing down brand Jamaica?
Are you hearing?
Dr. Frank,
Mr. Tavares, are you hearing him, Dr. Nelson?
Yes,
I'm not hearing him at all.
I'm hearing him. Is he done with his question?
When I ask him those questions,
okay. When he's hearing you, he's going to respond to it, Mr. Tavares.
Okay, let me hang up on here.
No. You're not hearing him. Okay. So go ahead and hang up and then listen for his response. Yeah, thank you very much, sir.
I was expecting something from him, you know. But it's okay. Let me answer his question.
Let us try to be respectful, Dr. Nelson.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I don't plan to be disrespectful. I don't need to be. Because every country in the world, for the most part, have their news releases on irregular things that happen within their countries. Whether it's crime, whether it's good things or bad things, every country have their news release. Now, the teacher that went missing in Jamaica, right, is not a good piece of news. So whether it bring down brand Jamaica, yes or no, the issue here is it is not a flag dragging on the streets of Boston or of New York or Miami. Jamaica has had crime issues for a long time. And so does other countries. And they all have to pay the price, whether it be affecting their brands or not. The point that I have here, or the problem that I have here, is with those of you guys who choose to go into the gutters of New York and Miami with your complaint, or what you think is a valid complaint, when in truth and in fact it's not. It's common news. And the very country in which you choose to be doing this, the statistics will show you that this country is not holy ground where Moses stood on and read the 10 Commandments when it comes to crime and corruption. So what is your purpose? A lot of things, Dennis, that happened in Jamaica on the issue of crime is bad for the country. So that's a common sense response. That's a baseless question, to be honest with you.
Let me ask you this, Dr. Nelson. You're not against the protest. You're just against where it is, where they're executing it.
No. I am against the so-called reasons behind this protest. I do not think that the reason that they're giving, right, is a reason that makes sense.
So if it was valid and they're protesting in this space, you would not have a problem with it?
Dennis, if you have a problem with your country, right, and you want to address your problem with your country, you address your problem with your country. Your action to go outside of your country to address a problem that's happening in your country speaks to the fact that you have other reasons or other intentions. How about looking at it from that angle? Every country have its ills, its ups and downs. And if citizens within a country, let me show this. You see,
Mr. Tavares is asking you to answer the question that was asked. If the killing,
that is my answer to his question. Crime anywhere in any country is not a good thing for the country.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I want to ask him one more question because he's dancing around the question. Dr. Nelson, with all respect, to answer the question. $1.7 trillion gone missing in the country. Nobody knows what the $1.7 trillion is. It's not bringing on brand Jamaica. When you have a prime minister who don't declare his asset, it's not bringing on brand Jamaica. In which modern democracy can a prime minister still be a prime minister and he can't declare how much he worth? It's not bringing on the country, Dr. Nelson. And by the way, I personally don't have a political agenda. Wilfred African don't have any. Okay? So how dare you come and talk about we have a political agenda? It is our fundamental right, whether we're in Jamaica, yes or no, to demonstrate and speak out against what is going on in the country. It is our fundamental right under our constitution, sir. It's our fundamental right to do so, sir. Whether we're in Jamaica or outside of Jamaica, sir. Have a good night.
Thank you, sir. That is, Mr. Tavares is saying it is fundamental right, that the people in the diaspora are fundamental right to protest wherever they are about the issues of their concern. You are not against that. You are saying the reasons are not legitimate reasons. That is what you're saying.
My question to Mr. Tavares is this. With all the pieces that he put out there, sound bites I call them. You don't come to sound bites without your proof or without your facts in your hands. It sounds good to the listeners who don't know better. But you've been doing this for a long time. All of you guys been doing this for a long time, putting out your sound bites about allegations about the Prime Minister and about money gone missing. Bring your proof to the table. Or why don't you sue the government? Since you have all of these evidence in your hand, why don't you bring it to the International Court of Ethics?
I'm afraid it's getting a little bit too political for.
No, Dennis.
Yes,
Dennis,
sir.
He made his points, he made his allegations, and he made his projections. And this is what they've been doing for a long time. Talks without solid evidence. If you know all of these things that is so incriminating against the government of Jamaica, why are you not showing the evidence to the people who you're trying to get to believe you and to follow you and to support you? There is a mechanism in place, Dennis, for any groups in any democracy or any political sphere who might have an issue with the governance of such a sphere, right? There's the International Court of Appeals. There's the International Court where you can get mediation through, or you can level your complaints to and ask them to intervene. Why haven't these guys done anything like that? I tell you why. Because they have no legs on which to stand. Okay?
Well,
so it is a choice. It is a choice of theirs to be seen or to try and get some attention from the international sphere to damage the government of Jamaica. Because the portals that are to their disposal that can better address these issues, they're not using them. So they have a different, they have obviously another alternative or agenda, right? So whether he wants to admit that he has a political agenda or not.
Well, he had make it clear that he had no
he can say what he can say what he wants to say. Everybody can say what they want to say. You know, that doesn't make it the fact. That's all I'm saying. And this is what these guys do a lot and do very well. Come on the public space, make baseless allegations against the government of Jamaica, and it sounds fancy to some people. But they never yet present their evidence.
I want to take this this opportunity to invite Mr. Tavares for next week around the same time to express his views about some of the your comments and
Tell him
how
to
you
bring his
feel about
evidence
it.
to man. When him comment, bring his evidence.
Well, I'm gonna invite him to the show, which I think I tried before. So if Mr. Tavares, if you are available, you could type me a yes or no for next week around the same time to address some of the issues. And if you want me to, I could even play some or make note of some of the comment that might offend your position. I'm trying to be as neutral, and I don't want to build like a political image type of platform. But I am still a Jamaican that is very much concerned about Jamaica and what is going on. Because I, just like you, I have ambition to one day go back home. There was a time where I just don't feel that it was safe for me to do so. What would you say to people in the diaspora that have an ambition or intention to someday go back home? Now, as a man who goes to Jamaica 2 times a month, and what is your position? What would be your advice to a person who have such desire to move back to Jamaica and call Jamaica their home?
The simple answer to that is follow my lead. I'm going back to Jamaica permanently to live. I'm in Jamaica quite often. But seriously speaking, the situation in Jamaica, right, is not one that should be driving away true-hearted Jamaicans.
Mr. Tavares is calling again, so I hope he answer my question this time. Let me just ask, Mr. Tavares.
Hey.
Yes, sir.
Dennis.
Yes, sir.
What I want to ask Dr. Nelson.
Dennis. I am in the middle of responding to your
give me a second. Give me a second, Mr. Tavares. Just hold on a second. Because I'm going to wrap up in the next 4 minutes.
I am in the middle of responding to your question. And
okay, Mr. Tavares
I frankly do not need to be talking to Mr. Tavares anymore. I said what I have to say about him, and I'm through talking with him. Because, this antagonistic kind of a thing, I don't want to be dealing with.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
I have made my point.
Hello?
I made my
yes, Mr. Tavares, give me a second. I made my argument, and I stand by what I say. Right? Now, people coming back to Jamaica to live, I want to come home to their country. I want Dr. Nelson to answer the question that was just asked before. Just give me a second, Mr. Tavares. Yes, sir. Go ahead, Dr. Nelson.
Dennis.
Well, I'm not hearing him at all,
Dennis, I'm going to be responding to your last question there.
I'm not hearing him one bit.
Oh,
and I am not. Are you hearing me, Dennis?
Let me just say something to her. I'm having some technical issues, Mr. Tavares. So he's not hearing you. So you could go ahead and type the question. I will read the question. Secondly, let me ask you this. Do you want, and I asked you earlier this week, are you available to come on the show next week and address some of the issues that are concerned about? Next week, Wednesday at 7 Jamaica time. Okay, sir. Yeah. Just give me more time. All right, let me go ahead with the question. Go ahead. Let me see. Access to information. Okay.
He's unaccountable for. So don't come to us and talk about we're spreading propaganda. We're not, sir.
Okay.
It is in the cleaner, and we accessing from the Access to Information Act. If you're not aware of it, sir, please Google it, sir. Have a good night.
Thank you, Mr. Tavares. He said he gets his information from Access Information. So that's where they are coming from. They're coming from facts. That's what he said.
My brother, As
Yes,
I
sir.
said earlier, he needs to bring his evidence to the table. I don't need to go Google anything. I have my own facts. Okay?
Okay.
And I am making my position known, and he's objecting to it. Right? And this is exactly what I did not want on your program.
Right.
Some kind of antagonist kind of calling in to try and intervene in my discussion. If he wants to have his discussion, he needs to come on your program on his own space and do it. And I guarantee you, I will not be calling in because I don't need to talk to this guy. The bottom line is this. You are holding these kind of allegations and making them all over the place, you and your team. And you fail to present to the audience that you're trying to engage your hard evidence. Don't tell me to go do any research. My research that I have done is what I am working with and discussing from. You need to bring your research and your evidence to the public. Put it out there. Put your name to it and put it out there. Everything that I talk about, I can put it out there. And I have been putting my things out there, posting my stuff. I don't have to hide and calling in, being antagonistic about it.
All right. I want you to answer that question and then give me your final thoughts.
To answer your question about people coming home to Jamaica, returning residents to Jamaica. We just spoke about the crime bust that happened in Miami the other day that is connected to what's going on in Jamaica. We just spoke about what the police has done earlier, pulling some of these criminals off the street. Jamaica is prime now with all the investments that's going on, the infrastructural development that's going on. Now is the time for Jamaicans to be investing in Jamaica and be a part of the change that is on the horizon. And don't listen to negatives like the one that just came on, right? Whose objective is to tear down and not be a part of the building up. Whether these guys are being delusional or what, it's for them to figure their way out. But Jamaica is prime now for investment and for persons to come home to their country and be a part of the change that is on the horizon. Yes, there are challenges. Yes, we have to keep moving towards straightening out the crime issue, and we are. Jamaica is doing very well in solving the crime issue. So we don't need people out there to be scaring away investors and Jamaicans who want to come home. So I would say to you, come on home.
Okay,
be a part of the development, be a part of the change. And let us help to straighten out our country instead of trying to tear it down.
Like I said, I'm trying to give you an opportunity to express yourself, which I think you did. The platform is open for anybody, after a conversation, if they meet the criteria, to come on the platform and challenge the things that was said. And again, I must say thank you for stopping by. We tried to close earlier, but it did not happen. But your final thoughts before we close out that connection, I give you a minute and a half, or a minute to give me your final thoughts.
It is very sad to hear antagonists degrading and tearing down Jamaica with every chance they get.
When you say antagonist, I know it's your final thought. Are you referring to the caller? Or are you referring in general?
No, I'm speaking in general, man.
Okay, thank you. I just want to clarify.
Because that is exactly where the problem is. Yes, Jamaica is on an upward trajectory as we speak. Jamaica is moving forward in every sense of the word. Investments are happening. The country is developing. The infrastructure is getting better. The healthcare is getting better. The government of Jamaica is working assiduously to address the issues and the ills that the country has. We do not need antagonists and people with alternative objectives and purposes to be belittling our country and tearing it down with every chance they get with empty rhetorics and baseless allegations. Because a man can talk as much as he wants until he brings his evidence, his hard evidence, to the face of the populace. Let them see it and understand it and make sense of it. Then you're just flogging a dead horse. You're not going anywhere with your argument. You are just anti and tearing down. I am not going to support any narrative that is tearing down Jamaica when Jamaica is moving forward and is moving upward.
All right. Thank you, sir. I'm sorry to cut you short, but I'm gonna end because a good friend of mine, which is Jamaica, Carlos, had said I allow you to disrespect them without a challenge. I must say it was agreed upon, Dr. Nelson and myself, not to be confronted or be this, you know, you don't want to be a confrontational situation if he's going to come on the floor and be disrespected. So that's what we agree upon, and that's why we have one person, which is Dr. Nelson, to express himself. It's a platform that is, you know, I try to be as neutral and non-partisan as the best, as to the best of my ability. So it was not intended to give Dr. Nelson an opportunity to disrespect anybody in any way, shape, or form. As a matter of fact, we spoke about that before. And there are things that he would have said that he said off screen that we spoke about, not to say on screen. I will not say on screen. So I don't want any of you guys to think that this is an opportunity to give anybody to disrespect the organizers of the protest. There are many times, many instances, or many shows that the organizers of the protest made appearance here, and they get a fair chance to express themselves. And I think it was just fair to give Dr. Nelson or anybody that opposed what is going on an opportunity to express themselves. That's all it was.
Show me call, me never call no foul.
All right, Dr. Nelson, thank you for stopping by. Have a good night, guys. I must say it was indeed a good opportunity tonight. I think for Dr. Nelson to express himself. I have no ill intent in any way, shape, or form. I had invited Mr. Well, Ratigan is always here. Dr. Francis is always here. Carlos is always here. Well, can be here anytime. And I just want to hear from Mr. Tavares what his position and what went on tonight. But as Dr. Nelson has requested, he did not want to be confronted, and that's how we end up here. I do not so much agree with you, Mr. Carlos. Do you want to send a link, Jamaica Carlos? You want to send a link? Because we can send a link, you can come and talk to me so that I can defend myself. I send Jamaica Carlos a link because I have some time tonight. Let me send him a link because I don't. Zagreer, I'm sending you a link if you want to come in for another few minutes and express yourself. I see you writing, so I don't know if you want that to do that, but I send you a link, sir. But yeah, the intention was not to disrespect anybody in any shape or form. Dr. Nelson and I had spoke about not disrespecting anybody, and that's not what I want. We were no, sir. Clear the contamination first. Oh, come on, Carlos, man. What are you talking about? I don't know, but anyhow, guys, thank you for stopping by and spend some time with me tonight. I really appreciate it. Like, share, and subscribe so that we can continue to bring content from both sides to the people of Jamaica, and in the people from Jamaica and in the diaspora. Just give you an opportunity, giving people an opportunity to express themselves on the platform. That's all it was intended for. Mr. Carlos, I'm going to call you. I'll call in a few. Because I don't so much like that sound, because that's not the intention. Blessings to you all. Have a good night, and look forward to see you guys next week. Blessings.